2006 alum of Florida, is in her first season as the head coach of the Pride. Elon's starting lineup does not feature a single senior. The freshman Maya Johnson, along with sophomores Bree Perpignan and Kayla Lyles, Sonia Mumford, Ariel Cologne, a pair of juniors. Elon is in the white, Hofstra is in the royal blue. Elon swept the regular season meetings. Lyles loses the basketball, and the Hofstra Pride come up with a turnover on their first possession defensively.
And we talked about Elon playing on their home floor. They're coming off a great end of the season win against Towson. They won by 16, and Ariel Cologne, a third-team All-CAA conference member, had 17 points and 11 rebounds in that. They're hoping for a repeat performance from her.
That was a critical momentum-turning victory for the Phoenix here on their home floor. Elon had not won since they defeated this Hofstra team back on Valentine's Day, February 14th. So they were on a 5-game slide into that Towson game. Hofstra with just 7 seconds to shoot. Collin gives it off. Sean Mills on the baseline through traffic. Elon just takes it away before the shot clock horn was going to expire.
Elon will get out and run. If they have the advantage, they'll get out in transition, but they are also a patient team. They will run their offensive sets. They'll use that shot clock. They look for a lot of ball reversal as well.
Kayla Lyles on the drive. Righty scoop for the game's first points.
Great take. Wide off to the right side, getting bumped a little bit, but able to convert.
Lyles, a sophomore from Owings Mills, Maryland. This is Jalen Hines, Hofstra's leading scorer, the only Pride player to average in double figures, just over 11 per game for the forward, and she ties the game.
And she's very capable. I mean, she can go to her left or to her right. She can slash to the basket. She is the leader for this team.
Bree Perpignan tries to thread the needle down to Ariel Cologne. Miscommunication, sends a chair tumbling and gives the ball back to Hofstra. Elon has turned it over twice in the early going, and mistakes like that are what's going to allow the Pride to hang around in this one.
Yeah, both of these teams turn the ball over quite a bit. Hofstra actually averages 20 turnovers per game. Elon right behind them with about 16, and it's so important in tournament play to value that basketball and to keep those possessions. Every time you hand it over to the other team, you're missing out on an opportunity.
Yeah, Hofstra ranks last in the CAA, 10th in both turnovers committed and turnovers forced per game. Not where you want to be this time of year. And perhaps a reason why the Pride went 0-18 in conference action. Left wing 3-ball rattles through, and the Pride on top for the first time today.
Anytime you have a coaching change, there's a new system, there's player turnover, there's all types of things going on. This Hofstra team dealing with some tragedy before the season as well. So just a lot of things going on, and it's hard to get through in a season when there's so much adversity.
Danielle Santos Atkinson in her first season as the head coach of the Pride, former assistant at Hofstra, most recently an assistant coach at Pittsburgh under Lance White in the ACC. She had brought longtime Boston College head coach Kathy Ingles on the staff. Tragically passed away right before the season, and that's the adversity and tragedy that Christine alluded to there, and it's really helped shape this Hofstra program through this season. They've got an early 5-point lead here today.
And what a great coach she was over those phenomenal Vermont and Boston College teams, and hard for young people to handle such a loss going into not only a new coaching staff, but then dealing with all of that. So credit to Hofstra. I was watching them warm up. I've watched them throughout the season. They're giving the effort. It's not like they're just going out there and giving up. They are going after it. Things just haven't worked out very well.
Sorella Neza with the basketball for the Pride. Hines, high-low feed, tipped away and taken away by Kayla Lyles, who wants to run the floor for the Phoenix. Lyles, pull-up partially blocked, but right to the all-conference pick in Cologne, and Ariel Cologne draws the foul.
Great job on the trail by Sean Mills, getting into that play and making something happen from the backside, getting her hand on the ball to block it. Hofstra just unable to recover.
Fouls called on Jalen Hines, her first and the team's first. Jada Graves and Jalen Powell both enter for the Phoenix, a pair of juniors. And Ariel Cologne will shoot free throws here. Cologne, 75% on the season at the foul stripe, hits the first.
You know, Powell and Graves have a lot of experience for this team. They come off the bench now, but they have a lot of experience from those early championship teams that Elon had and played a lot of minutes, but filling a different role this season for the team.
Cologne misses the second. Those teams Christine alluded to, the back-to-back conference tournament champion teams that Charlotte Smith and the Phoenix fielded, 2017 and 2018, winning true road games both times out for the conference titles. James Madison in 2017 and then Drexel in 2018. Hines strong to the bucket, +1.
Hofstra out to a really good start here, and I like what they're trying to do. They're trying to get their best player the ball. They're giving it to Hines where she can work with it. They're giving it to her down on the block, short corner area, but look at how she seals Powell. Look at how she puts that hand up. Powell overplaying, fronting on that side, and Powell directing her guard of where to give it to her.
Foul was on Cologne, her first, team's first, and the Pride doubling up the Phoenix early. Christine, they've hit their last 4 shots, 4 or 5 from the floor.
And again, you know, we talk about momentum, and in tournament play, no one cares how many games you've won. All that matters is what's happening out on that floor, and Hofstra has had some runs. I know it's a different team this year, but they had a heck of a run last year as well.
Lyles misses a reverse layup. Leaping rebound grabbed by Hines. And Hofstra with that upset of James Madison last season in the CAA tournament in Newark, Delaware. Hines called for a travel. Pride turns it over for the second time today.
And how good was Boogie Brzozowski last year? She was electric, so phenomenal, and they just didn't have enough left in the tank as they kept climbing that ladder. But they made it a very interesting tournament, and then Towson taking over that role into the finals as well.
You saw Charlotte Smith on your screen, head coach of the Phoenix in her 9th season. North Carolina alum, famously hit the buzzer-beating shot to win the '94 national championship for the Tar Heels, and she sees Taya Traore, sophomore forward, put it in for a pair.
I remember watching that in my living room. It was a year before I went to college, and watching that shot, one of the greatest shots in women's basketball championship history.
It was the only buzzer beater for a title until 2018. Pull-up jumper bounces off the iron from Sandra Karsten, the senior from Finland, one of 2 Finnish starters in the lineup for Hofstra. Elon can get it within 1 with a 2, tie with a 3 this trip down. Powell down low, Traore again, and she's bumped. So a foul called on the Pride, 2 free throws forthcoming on the other side of our first timeout of the afternoon. Don't tell Hofstra they haven't won a game in conference play. The Pride hanging around with the Phoenix, but Traore doing work down low. Thursday. Traore at the line for Elon, sinks the first free throw. She's got an early 3 for the Phoenix.
I really think Elon has an advantage down low. I think if they pound that ball in the paint a little bit, they'll get contact like they did with Traore before.
So 4 points for Traore of Elon's 9. The Phoenix back within 1. Hofstra's led this game by as many as 5. Petya Krupenko is checked in. She's number 5 in blue. And Krupenko will try a 3 from the far corner, a little bit short. Leaping rebound by Jada Graves. See that big brace on her right knee, coming off a torn ACL that cost her all but 1 game last season.
Fortunately, we see that injury so much in women's basketball. ACL tears all over the place. I think every year of my career, I had a teammate each year that tore their ACL. Just an unfortunate outcome for a lot of, especially women's basketball players.
Ariel Cologne to the bench for the Phoenix. Kayla Lyles checks back in. And we see some players that are able to come back from that with relative ease, others it completely derails their career, sadly.
Yeah, it depends, you know, what your game is as well. You know, for a guard, sometimes it's a little harder because you rely on quickness, but then for those post players, there's so much power and force in your footwork and the way you twerk your body, so great shot there by Colin.
Marianne Collin, the senior from Finland's got 4 for Hofstra. Looks like a shoe popped off for Kayla Lyles. So Elon stalling here until Lyles can get that footwear back on and rejoin the play.
Hofstra thought that was some pretty good defense that her sneaker played on her.
But cost Elon about half the shot clock here. Lyles a head and shoulder fake. Mid-range J.
Karsten with a nice rebound on the weak side. They're going to need her rebounding capabilities, but also a little bit of scoring as well.
Hofstra turns it over, their third turnover, so turnovers even at 3 so far in this one. All the way to the cup with the left hand. Sonia Munford, the Atlanta junior, with her first 2.
That was great recognition. Everybody was a little slow getting back on defense, and Munford just exploded, put the ball in her left hand, and went across the key.
So Elon back within 1. Phoenix is led by just 2 in this one when it was 2-0. Krupenko gives it off. This is Karsten. Scrum underneath the bucket. They're going to get Hofstra's Jakayla Brown, who had checked into the game, for the foul.
Yeah, I thought Colin posted up really well there. Probably wanted to give her that ball. You saw her numbers, had the defender on her back. Karsten taking the shot, not the worst thing in the world, but then a foul for over the back as well.
So that's the 3rd foul on Hofstra. Elon brings Maya Johnson back into the game, starting freshman forward from Raleigh, North Carolina. Quintet out there now for Elon is Munford, Lyles, Johnson, Powell, and Perpignan.
Lyles was fiddling with her shoe again. When she gets a break, she's going to have to take that shoe off, tie it up real tight. You know, I coach 5th and 6th grade boys, and once somebody has to tie their shoe, I say, okay, everybody stop. Everybody check your shoes. Tie those shoes up.
Save those shoe tying breaks and put them all in one. Maya Johnson gets a pair. Elon on top, 13-12.
Maya Johnson has had some great games this year. Only a freshman, but she has been a force down low. When she feels like she has that matchup, I think she's going to grow into a player to watch in this league.
Foul away from the play on Elon. So first on Brie Perpignan, team's 2nd. So a fresh 20 seconds for Hofstra. Hines with the basketball, 4 points already for the Pride. Gives it up for Ineza. Sorel Ineza for 2. Offensive board by Hines. Hofstra can't cash in on the second chance opportunity as Sean Mills got tangled up with Powell, and now a steal for the Pride. Traveling violation on Krupenko. Got a little too fancy trying to shake off Powell.
Well, it was a great team box out by Elon. You saw everybody pushing back, but Krupenko able to jump that passing lane. That's why every time when you're receiving an outlet from your forward, you got to get those heels to the sideline, because if you try to run and catch at the same time like a receiver, that's what can happen. So you got to get those heels to the sideline so you can see what's up and down the court.
Held ball gives possession back to Hofstra. Cologne, the all-conference guard, was double-teamed. The possession arrow favoring the Pride. That's an energy play. That's a hustle play.
Yeah, Hofstra's doing good things. I mean, they're getting some good offensive sets. They're jumping in some passing lanes, but an unforced error there.
Munford working on Krupenko and gets fouled.
And that's what Munford does so well. We saw the play before when she swung through, went across the key with her left hand. She has that hesitation. She understands when to go to the rim, when to pull it back out, and that is so key from your guard. She's a junior, but she understands what Charlotte Smith wants her to do. And when you can make those decisions of when to go and when to pull back, you're extremely valuable.
Munford is a very good free throw shooter, 81%. Hits the first. It's not 81% on 20 or 25 attempts. She leads the team with 101 trips to the foul stripe into this game.
And that's her style of play. That's why she can get to the rim. She can absorb that contact. And a lot of times there's some and ones because she can protect the basketball with her body and then get the finish.
So it's the biggest lead of the game for Elon at 3, 15-12. Charlotte Smith's Phoenix on a 6-0 run over 2 minutes. Cologne trying to extend it. Munford just stepped on the baseline there. She grabbed the offensive rebounds.
Yeah, she came in out of nowhere. If she would have handled that, she might have had a nice little putback, but she's very active here on the floor. And Charlotte Smith saying, you know what, you've done a great job. Take a break. I'll get you back in.
Jada Graves returns for Elon. Marianne Collin back in for Hofstra. Final 50 seconds of the first quarter. We'll see how quickly the Pride move things here.
Look at Perpignan with that on-the-ball defense. She is just swarming Ineza.
Ana Hernandez kill as her pocket picked by Lyles. Mills chasing Lyles down the floor. It won't matter. Defense into offense.
And that was all started because of that on-the-ball defense. It gets everybody a little bit on edge, and then you're able to jump that lane.
So it swells the Elon run to 8-0. Nearly another turnover, and Maya Johnson called for the foul as she becomes entangled with Mills.
And that's an unfortunate outcome for Johnson because she was doing everything that she was supposed to do and just got a little bit more arm than ball. But jumping in that passing lane, especially as a big, the rotation for Elon has been fantastic.
Collin to push it in from the baseline for Hofstra. They can take the final shot of this quarter if they so choose. Down to 4 seconds. Ineza gives it up. Hines, the leading scorer, called for the offensive foul. Not only does the shot not go in, but Jalen Hines picks up her second foul at the very end of this first quarter. 2 fouls on Hines. And Elon in front by 5, 17-12 with a quarter in the rear view. So that was the 5th foul of the quarter. So if there was any time left, Elon, well, no, it was offensive, so never mind that.
See if the foul occurred before the expiration resumed.
So they're looking to see if that foul occurred before time expired, and to see if there's any time left on the clock before.
There is. It looks to be 8 or 9 tenths of a second.
And official Geraldine Smith giving us that important info, keeping the broadcasters in the loop. Always like that.
It's much appreciated. Helps us do our jobs. Norma Jones, Kevin Dillard also on our officiating crew today. Here comes our explanation. Offensive foul on Jalen Hines, 9 tenths on the game clock, as we figured.
This is when you pull out that full court tip play. And you could see she jumped up and went forward, and great position there by Lyles, giving her that step, but the way Hines jumped, she jumped forward instead of straight up and down, and Lyles doing a great job to get a very costly foul on Hofstra's best player.
2 fouls on Hines, who leads the team in both scoring and rebounding. Nearly 9 boards a game, over 11 points per game. And a good chance for Elon to practice that full court play like you said. Her opinion will simply catch it and let the first quarter expire. So, second time's the charm here. Elon getting aggressive. Kayla Lyles with the steal, all the way down for 2, and the host Phoenix.
Encouragement, put them right back in the game. The previous media timeout, she said we're going to press and we're going to get some turnovers. They did. She said Elon will start to up the ball tempo or ball pressure and force some turnovers if we're not careful. That's exactly what happened, and she kept talking to her team. Are you with me? Do you hear what I'm saying? Calm down, we're okay. Very impressive communication, and one of the reasons why the Pride have stayed locked in throughout the year.
All right, Matt, thanks so much. And to that point, turnovers on both ends of the floor as Kayla Lyles hits the deck hard with assistance from Sandra Karsten.
Lyles making so many things happen. She created a little bit of that contact, but she's been doing it on both ends of the floor. She has 3 steals. 3 steals in that first quarter, really helping Elon to set the tone.
So here's Lyles moving down the floor. Karsten gets called for the foul. And Lyles is still down on the baseline over there in a seated position.
Really think it's that shoe again. I think it's that she needs to go change her shoes. Those shoes are not liking her very much today.
And she needs to go over there, get that shoe tied up tightly. she's still just there on the side of the huddle. And they're going to take another look at that play, I presume, to see if there was anything flagrant. We'll get an explanation.
And when you look at the replay, it didn't seem like it was anything intentional. Let's take another look. You see Lyles kind of tweaking her ankle there. I mean, I didn't see anything unnecessary. It looked like Karsten was going for the ball.
It certainly looked clean to me. As clean as a common foul in that regard. And it is a common foul, so a first foul on Karsten, first on the Pride in this second quarter, and 2 free throws for Kayla Lyles.
You know, Matt on the sideline talks so much about Hofstra and about, you know, Coach Atkinson trying to keep her team involved all season. You know, early in the season they beat Hartford. Hartford went 0 for 28. And then at the end of the year, they beat Stony Brook, who won the America East. So, you know, you never know what's going to happen. And that made their whole season. Yes, it was a struggle, but you know what? That's something that, you know, they can take into next season. And same thing with this Hofstra team. I mean, they're playing hard. There have been some close games. It's not for lack of effort, but they have to get their team together and put some things in work over the summer, and they'll come back stronger next year.
You mentioned Hartford and how that win over Stony Brook made their whole season. Hofstra's got a similar approach to this game. If they find a way to get the job done here today, that can erase a lot of the pain of 0-18 in CAA play.
And I think we're seeing that more and more across the country in these conference tournaments. You know, women's basketball, there hasn't been a ton of parity across the nation, but we're starting to see those upsets coming, and it stinks kind of a little bit for the mid-majors because those teams that work all season and get those wins, but then they get upset in the tournament.
Ball ping-ponging around. Perpignan comes up with it, lays it ahead to Graves. And Hofstra needs a timeout. Elon has opened up a game-high 9-point lead. Timeout called by Hofstra. Jada Graves off the window. The home team, click it. Drexel will take on UNCW in that noon game tomorrow. UNCW, a winner over College of Charleston earlier today, 69-55. So the 9th-seeded Seahawks advance on to take on a Drexel team that won the 2 regular season meetings by a combined 3 points. Hofstra will turn it over for a 12th time on an over and back. Ball rolls out of bounds anyway.
You know, Hofstra taking that timeout as Elon started to surge on the defensive end. Elon with 7 steals, but again, 5 of those coming from Kayla Lyles. She has set the tone on the defensive end. She has led this team in that area, jumping into passing lanes. Her shoes may be jumping up together, but she's getting that ball.
Lyles misses a jumper, but an offensive rebound for the Phoenix. And you see Lyles wearing uniform number 2. That's the same as Mariah Crisp of UNCW. Something about those number 2s today.
I guess so.
Munford with 10 to shoot. Ariana Nance has checked into the game for the first time for the Phoenix. Redshirt sophomore from Charlotte, North Carolina. Iron unkind on an elbow jumper from Sadia Munford, and a held ball called. Arrow favors Hofstra.
Hey, we talked about Mariah Crisp in that win for UNCW. She had 7 steals in that game, and Lyles already with 5, battling it out.
Elon as a team came in 9th best in the CAA, just about 7.5 steals a game. High left side, Marianne Collin with the basketball for Hofstra. Collin faces, couple of dribbles, double team comes. Collin in all sorts of trouble, and Lyles nearly had another steal, but ends up batting it over the end line.
Great play by Collin, though. She had nowhere to go. No one was open. Heads-up play of knocking it off Lyles to at least get her team that possession. Save that possession and not turn it over. Hofstra already with 12 turnovers in this game. They average about 20. It's turning it over too many times, and she saved that possession.
Traore back into the game for the Phoenix. Just 5 seconds to operate for Hofstra. Karsten from straight on. Lyles adds a rebounds to her stat line today.
I've been very impressed with the defensive rebounds for Elon. They just smother Hofstra.
Oh, Lyles feeds. Kayla Lyles with 8 points today. Biggest lead of the game for Elon, in front by 11. Corner triple stops the bleeding.
Nice little triangle there between Inez, Hines.
Sandra Karsten knocked it through. Note that Hines is back in the game with the 2 personal fouls. She picked up the 2nd foul late in that first quarter on an offensive foul. And Hines ends up getting her hands on that ball, batting it into the hands of Ineza.
I thought Ineza was going to maybe try to run a little bit, but choosing to slow this down and work in that offensive set and get a good shot.
Jaquela Brown spins in on Nance, leaves it short. O-board for Hines. That's what she brings to the table for Hofstra. Whistle underneath as the 2 teams jockey for the rebound. Looks like they're going to get an Elon player.
Brown was in good position there. She was fighting for that rebound, and that's just the battle of the bigs right there.
Subs the dead ball. Foul was on Jalen Powell. Her first and the team's first. Sean Mills will get it in for Hofstra. Up with the right hand, Hines has 6 points on the game.
That was a great job by Hines. Felt the defense on her back, spun right over her left shoulder and up.
Mini 5-0 spurt for the Pride, stopped by a Perpignan pair.
Perpignan averages double figures, about 10 points a game. She's been solid for this Elon Phoenix team throughout the year. Really been a good floor general.
Second leading scorer on the team, sophomore from Alexandria, Virginia.
Little more than an armbar there for Traore. She had the 1 armbar, but the official saying she extended both. It kind of gave a little shove, displacing her player, and enough for a foul. Foul's starting to rack up a little bit.
Fouls on Traore, her first, team second. By the way, at the dead ball, Hines returns to the bench. Kariah Reynolds, a sophomore from Stone Mountain, Georgia, checks in for the first time for Hofstra, and she's got the ball now. 0 in blue, called for a travel.
A good response by Traore. Just picked up that foul. Gets her legs down, her core open, causing turnover.
5 on the floor for Elon. Graves, Munford, Traore, Perpignan, and Cologne, who's got the basketball now. Cologne, awkward angle. Traore there to clean it up and put it in.
Elon starting to get a little bit of rhythm here in the second quarter. Coming down, having good offensive sets, moving the basketball, and then getting stops on defense.
Reynolds, the substitute. Mills spins in, loses the basketball, nearly another turnover. Still free and squirts out to the wing for Ineza. Then she loses it off her leg and out of bounds. Turnover 14 for Hofstra.
It seemed like some good things were happening, and then the ball became a hot potato, but it all started by Munford digging. She does that so well. She'll, you talk about help and recover. Well, she helps, she digs just enough to cause a commotion, and Hofstra couldn't recover.
And the Pride averaged more than 20 giveaways a game, but still 14, roughly 15 minutes into this game, is a ugly trend for the Pride. Graves fakes and spins. Perpignan low clock situation. Gets the Traore screen. Elevates behind it.
Seemed like Elon had the advantage on the rebound there, but nobody grabbed the ball. It's like that drill where the ball has to bounce before anybody can touch it on the rebounding drill, but nobody from Elon grabbed it.
Not running drills here, it's their actual game. But then another Hofstra turnover gives Elon the possession anyway. Ball still free. Cologne comes up with it. Trying to go back up around 3 bodies, probably not a smart decision by Cologne. And then she picks up the backcourt foul.
The effort was great on the first half of the play. She kept tipping the ball, kept it alive. But on the second half of the play, picking up a foul 94 feet from the basket, and she'll have to go to the bench and think about that one.
She'll sit because that's her second foul, team's third. Speaking of 2 fouls, Jalen Hines back in for Hofstra. Danielle Santos-Atkinson having to manage the time now for her best player. Reached her second personal foul before the end of the first quarter. Three ball missed by Karsten. Hofstra now just 2 for 6 from behind the arc. Elon is yet to attempt a 3-pointer in this game. That trend will continue as Traore hits the mid-range.
Traore given some great minutes here on the defensive end, but now you see her ability to kind of step out and hit the short jump shot. It's going to be great for this team moving forward.
She's got 8 points. Matches her with the team lead with Kayla Lyles. Karsten bounce feed into the lane. Elon picks it up and we get a foul.
Hofstra with another turnover before that foul. So many turnovers. And you see trying to thread the needle, kind of an awkward pass, throwing it from her head down on the bounce pass, and Reynolds unable to handle it.
So to the bench goes Sean Mills for Hofstra. Elon's on a 6-0 run over 3 minutes and 10 seconds. It's a span in which Hofstra has turned it over 4 times. Perpignan gets in the air, no travel called, all the way in, finishes left-handed.
In the half-court set, Elon has done such a good job with just being persistent. You know, they're doing what they need to do. They're swinging through, but they're staying with the play.
Ball back to the Phoenix. Remember, Hofstra led this game 10-5. As our Bobby Broyles picks up the ball. Bobby, the czar of all things multimedia for the Colonial Athletic Association. Good hands, Bobby. It was a 10-5 game earlier, so the extended run for Elon is 26-7 by my math. 8-0 over nearly 4 minutes at the moment.
See, so whenever somebody says, I won't need math later in life, oh yeah, you gotta know the score.
Hofstra sub at the dead ball. Sean Mills right back in. Hines to the bench again, and this delicate balance of utilizing the skill set of Hines and making sure she avoids a 3rd foul continues. Two Finnish players play catch.
Colin working hard in there. She's working hard to shape up and post up and not receiving the basketball. 4 players on the perimeter. Colin fighting hard for position. Never got the opportunity to make a move.
First foul on Sorel Ineza, 3rd on the Pride. And as an offensive foul, that's another turnover. Maya Johnson returns for Elon with Traore to the bench. Perpignan will sit as well.
Hofstra in that 2-3 defense. Doing a good job with the matchup. They're trying to attack, trying to trap.
Nearly get the turnover there. Munford's able to throw out of it. Eventually Powell left open, and there's Elon's first 3 of the game.
And that's how you get a team to get out of their trapping defense. You reverse the basketball, skip pass, nail it. Make that defense move.
Phoenix doubling up the Pride here, 34-17. We saw College of Charleston in our first game make a little bit of a spurt at the end of the second quarter, and that gave them momentum into the second half. A critical minute here for Hofstra. Brown all the way in, can't stop the run.
Great take. She thought there was some contact, kind of putting her hands up, just didn't have the finish.
So Elon will be deliberate here. Good defense from the Pride gets Powell in trouble. Johnson elevates in traffic. Hofstra cannot hold it all the way. There's about a 3-second difference. Shot to game clock. Karsten goes baseline. Off back iron. And a quick shot gives Elon plenty of time here.
Hofstra hasn't had a lot of weak side rebounding opportunities. No one crashing the boards on the weak side.
Munford with 3. Munford inside for Johnson. Johnson perhaps not aware of the clock. Can't get it through in the first half. Draws to a close. Hofstra got off to a strong start, but the Elon Phoenix doubling up the Pride 34-17 here on their home floor as Elon looks to advance.
That can-do mentality. I don't think the world needs another
front by 17 as we start the second half of action. This is the 7 versus 10 game. The Phoenix, the 7 seed at 8-10 in CAA play. Hofstra, the 10 seed, winless, 0-18 in conference action this year. Ariel Cologne hits her first 3 of the game for Elon to extend the lead to a game-high 20. Hofstra will have to make a valiant comeback here if the Pride want to move on to face second-seeded James Madison tomorrow at 5 p.m. An 18th turnover of the game, not exactly the way to start that.
Yeah, you see the two differences in first possessions after the half. Elon executing to perfection, and Hofstra with another giveaway.
Perpignan triple teamed along the sideline. Lyles beckons for a teammate. Munford with 5 to shoot. Locates Cologne. Perpignan, a desperation heave, rattles through. Hofstra defended well for 29 seconds. You got to do it for 30.
That seems to be the spot right now for the Phoenix. Both of their scores coming from that left corner.
And remember, they went so deep into this game without a three-pointer. Elon is 3 for 3 from behind the arc.
I'd love to see Inez go all the way to the basket. You saw she got about to the mid-post area, and it was a wide-open lane when she stopped and kicked it out. I'd love to see her go all the way to the rim, take some of that contact.
And right on cue, Ineza does kick it out. It leads to a 3 for Hofstra. Sandra Karsten's second triple of the game. 6 for the senior from Finland.
They're going to need her to do a lot of that here in the second half if they want to penetrate and kick, try to trade some 2s for 3s, but both teams hitting some 3s.
Maya Johnson tries the reverse layup. Hofstra 3 of 7 from behind the arc in this game. Ineza mid-range. Offensive board and a second chance opportunity for Marianne Collin. 6 for her.
It was a good job by Collin, keeping the ball high when she first got it, securing it, and then seeing the lane wide open to the right. I feel like a lot of times Hofstra is hesitating on offense. They might have a lane, but they pull it back out. Or they might have a shot, but then they hesitate. And that's also causing some of their travels as well.
Hofstra foul. It's on Sean Mills. First on Mills, first on the Pride after halftime. Elon subs at the dead ball. Perpignan and Johnson will have a seat. Jalen Powell's back in alongside Jada Graves.
And it was when they made these substitutions in the first half that Elon, and they really picked up the pace.
If you remember, Hofstra led this game 10-5. It was a good start for the Pride. Danielle Settentos-Atkinson alluded to it, that her team was taking care of the basketball as Munford goes down hard.
Oh, she grabbed her knee. She initially grabbed that left knee that is wearing the knee sleeve. Oh, that doesn't look good. I really hope she's able to get up. I hope it's nothing too serious.
So Charlotte Smith immediately comes over, as well as the Elon athletic training staff.
You know, sometimes that can be catastrophic, and other times, you know, players get scared. They feel something, and, you know, they go down, and, you know, the athletic training staff will evaluate, and sometimes
Hofstra ball. So went out of bounds off of Elon.
You just hate to see that, especially in the tournament atmosphere as well. Trying to give it a go, and just hate to see players go down.
Ineza drops it down to Collin. Pride has scored the last 5 points and will keep possession here.
Good job by Collin off that motion, getting down to the block. Pass was just half a second too late. She was open for a split second.
Mills has her drive cut off. Low clock situation. Hines walled off by Powell, goes up with the hook anyway and scores.
Nice job with the back to the basket, feeling that defender, going confidently with the shot.
Powell answers.
Nice little two-man game there between Cologne and Powell. Again, seeing that baseline drive, little dump. I feel like Hofstra can utilize a short corner a little bit. Especially, I mean, Elon is switching up their defenses. They're playing some zone, some man, but I feel against the zone especially, they can utilize that short corner.
This will stay with Hofstra. Powell the last touch. .15 to shoot for the Pride. Half the shot clock gone by.
See Elon sticking with that man-to-man underneath out of bounds.
Perpignan nearly came up with a steal, ends up batting it over the sideline. That blob defense, baseline out of bounds.
So many teams will play zone when teams take it out underneath just because they're terrified of, you know, that screen the screener and getting that wide open layup. But Elon defending very well.
Ineza drops it down, and we get a whistle underneath the goal.
That was a good job by Hines, the way she was able to shape up there, keeping her defender to her right shoulder, showing where she wanted the ball, and drawing the foul.
Second foul on Jalen Powell. First on the Phoenix in the quarter. Powell will head to the bench. Maya Johnson back in. We might see Taya Trey for the Phoenix. Pretty strong first half for her with 8 points.
And she gave great minutes on the defensive end as well.
5 to shoot for Hines. Working on the low block against Lyles and puts it up over.
That was a great job of Hines staying with the play. It looked like she had nowhere to go, and then she kept her pivot foot and stepped through.
Lyles to answer from straight on. First three ball missed by Elon in this game. Cologne gets some space from the corner. Tries to save it herself, ends up keeping it in bounds. Ball loose, held ball called. Arrow favors the Pride.
Yeah, great hustle by Cologne. She's done a good job. In the first half, she had that one play where she tipped it to herself a bunch of times, ended up committing a foul, but it was the way she was able to keep the ball alive. She was doing the same thing there, got the save. Elon just couldn't get their hands on the ball.
Cologne to the bench for the Phoenix. Hofstra's hit their last 3 shots. They are 4 of 5 from the field after halftime and have turned it over just 1 time. As a result, this is a 16-point game. That's 1 point lower than the halftime deficit for the Pride. Mills loses her footing, and there's the second turnover of the half for Hofstra, only to see Karsten steal it right back.
Karsten jumping that passing lane again. Few times in this game we've seen either on an outlet or when the ball is being turned over and players aren't facing or seeing both ends of the court and defenders are able to jump.
Johnson dips the shoulder, kicks it out. Corner 3 from Powell.
They need to put a big old mark over on that spot because they've hit 3 threes from that spot in the last 5 minutes.
Elon had just 1 3 in the entire first half. They've hit 3 of them after halftime. Soft touch there for Hofstra to get it within 15.
Yeah, Neza getting away with the travel there. She changed her pivot foot when she went to the left. She had picked up the ball and switched her pivot foot to the left side.
Graves from the other corner, all oxygen. And we get a foul underneath. It's on Hines. That's the 3rd foul on Hines. Elon starting to get hot from behind the arc. The Phoenix on their home floor in front of Hofstra in the first round of the CAA Women's Basketball Tournament.
Charleston tried to cut it, just was unable to get over that hump of 16 points. They did at some point, but feels the same here today.
Jalen Powell has 3 threes now for the Phoenix and 11 points. Elon back on top by 18 just like that. They've led by as many as 23. That was when it was 40-17 very early in this quarter. By the way, the foul on Hofstra right before the break was on Jalen Hines, her third, and she stays on the floor. You see her there, number 11 in blue at the left elbow for the Pride.
Well, if they're going to have any chance of getting back in this thing, they need her out on the floor. And we saw in game 1, Charleston started attacking, started getting to the free throw line, stopping the clock, and they got within, 11, and then they just couldn't go all the way through. And Hines with another tough basket down low. I'd keep feeding her the ball, let her go to work.
She's got 11 points now for the Pride, right at her season average. College Charleston in that first game attempted 4 free throws in the first half. They finished the game with 25 foul shot attempts. Powell locates Traore, who misses the point-blank layup. 8 points for Traore today. Collin rejected by Traore. And out off of Hofstra, back to the Phoenix.
Just seems like every time Hofstra makes a great move or they drive to the basket, there you see the great block. Good job as well of tipping it, trying to get it to a teammate. Weaves today of not just swatting, but trying to maintain a possession.
Graves receives off the skip pass. Traore wasn't for the feed. Hofstra promptly turns it right back over to Perpignan.
That possession was kind of like, who actually wants the basketball?
An illegal screen call on Traore.
Not a lot of rhythm in these last few minutes. It's been very choppy. A lot of, stoppages in play, a lot of whistles, whether it's due to turnovers or fouls. It's hard as a player to get in rhythm, get some momentum when everything is stopping. It's almost like field hockey. The whistle blows so much, and I feel like everybody else knows what's going on, so they don't complain, but it almost feels that way. There's just so much stoppage right now.
We get another foul, another illegal screen. This one on the Pride, it's on Hines. That's her 4th.
And we saw that in the first game as well. Not many fouls called in the first half, and in the third quarter, the fouls picked up. And that's a combination, again, of the assertiveness and aggressiveness of the offensive team getting to the rim, but then also some adjustments in call.
Norma Jones, Kevin Dillard, Geraldine Smith, the 3 in stripes today. Perpignan surveying her options. Lyles trying to no-look to Traore, ends up turning it over herself. And then Hofstra gets entangled. It's Kayla Lyles called for the foul, her first. She's trying to force a jump ball call. Three giveaways in the last 2 minutes for Elon. They've been scoreless in that period. We get another whistle.
It really has shifted in the way this game is being played. I mean, and a lot of the fouls are actually off the ball. It's cutting to the basketball. It's, illegal screen. There's a lot of off-the-ball fouls being called that's having a stoppage in play.
Second foul on Brie Perpignan, 4th against the Phoenix. Karsten has it deflected by Johnson, gets it back and scores.
She's had some nice moves down low. I think Karsten and Collin have complimented Hines well.
Elon calls for time. Shots. Elon's become a little sloppy with the ball. They've turned it over 13 times, but Hofstra now up to 21 giveaways on this game. Ariel Colon with a 3 out of the timeout, follows her own miss.
Elon really spreading out their scoring thus far this afternoon. Only one player, Jalen Powell's in double figures, but a lot of 6, 7, 8 type opportunities to score as well.
Sadia Munford with 6 on the game, so now it's 6 Elon players have 6 or more points in this one.
Yeah, Elon doesn't really have that one player that consistently scores 15, 20 points a game. They do it by committee.
Tell you, the one player that could is sitting about 6 or 7 rows behind the Elon bench munching on some popcorn, that being Shea Burnett.
Boy, could she play. She brought the old school back into basketball. It's like when you go out and play pickup and all those, not trick plays, but just using the talents you have. She was a joy to watch and helped lead her team to back-to-back CAA championships.
Elon winning this tournament in 2017 and 2018. First 2 trips to the NCAA tournament in program history. Less than a minute to go in the 3rd quarter. Big chance here for Hofstra. A drive and a missed layup by Collin. Elon can't hold for the final shot. They can get it close, though.
If you're Hofstra, you're really trying to get a stop here, stop the bleeding a little bit. And
there's the stop. Pride will have plenty of time to set something up here.
if you can get something here, it is not undoable.
Krupenko trying to take it coast to coast, left it short, and now it's Elon with time. Perpignan, kick out, corner 3, good plus a foul. How's that for a momentum swing?
I'll tell you what, that spot again, I thought there were 2 mistakes. Taking a shot too early in the shot clock and then obviously fouling the jump shot, and especially for a 3-pointer. That spot has been very kind to Elon. Just a big, big mistake there by Krupenko.
So Sadia Munford drains the 3 and will have the opportunity for a 4-point play. She converts.
Yeah, it's good to see her back in too. I mean, we didn't talk much about her coming back into the game, but she went down. We weren't sure what was wrong. Good to see she was evaluated and was able to come back in.
A potential 6-point swing. Hofstra misses a layup on one end, and then a 4-point play on the other for the Elon Phoenix. Elon 10 minutes away from a CAA tournament win on their home floor. All over the place.
Hey, that's the risk of dance.
So we are underway here in the 4th. If Elon can hang on to this lead, the Phoenix would take on James Madison tomorrow night at 5 o'clock. The 3rd game of the quarterfinal Thursday. Quarterfinal Thursday that will begin with UNCW and Drexel at noon. Towson and Northeastern at 2:30. Winner of this one against JMU at 5, and then Delaware, William & Mary's their nightcap at 7:30.
UNCW, we talked about their close matchups with the Drexel. Well, Elon had a really tight game towards the end of the season with James Madison. Lost by 3, but had a 3 to tie at the buzzer that just didn't fall. So that's another matchup that they may like.
Elon led for much of the way in that matchup with the Dukes. Some press by Hofstra. Phoenix able to break it. Graves turning and kicking. Cologne with 3 more.
I think they should only run plays to that spot. The 5th three-pointer from the left corner.
7th of the game for Elon, of which 6 have come after halftime in an 11-minute span. Leaping rebound by Lyles, then she loses her footing with help. Foul on Sean Mills.
Hofstra just hasn't been able to get into their offense. You know, earlier in that third quarter when they were trying to chip away at that deficit, I thought they were doing a good job of getting the ball to Hines down low. They were kicking it back out. Colin and Karsten were in the mix, and now it just seems, you know, again, with the turnovers and the fouls, they haven't been able to chip away at all. Really haven't even gotten any good looks at the basket.
Michaela Ryan is checked in for the first time for the Phoenix, a sophomore center from Clarence Center, New York in the Buffalo area. Number 52 in white, see her top of your screen. Graves looking down low for Traore, nice ball movement.
What a great pass, too, and great eye contact, too, between those two players. Kind of gave a nod and had the roll.
This matches the biggest lead of the game for Elon at 23 points. Hines back in with 4 personal fouls. Gets foul on her drive.
Traore's had a little bit of trouble down low guarding Hofstra when they put the ball on the floor. So Hines taking that bounce, going strong to the basket, and that's where they've been at their best today.
So Hines shooting free throws. She's 1 of 1 at the stripe today. Make it 2 of 2. Leading scorer and rebounder on the Pride. It's battled foul trouble throughout the day today. Played just 22 minutes. Misses the second, though an offensive board is grabbed by Colin. Out to Ineza for 3. Then we'll get a Pride foul.
Looks like Powell took a little bit of a shot to the head there, grimacing. It might have actually been her own player that ran into her. Her and Graves going for the ball, but the foul called on Hofstra.
Ariana Nance checks back in for Elon. Ana Hernandez-Gill returns to the proceedings for the Pride. And the foul was on Karsten, her second.
Haven't seen much of Hernandez-Gill at all today.
Just a couple of minutes in the first half for her. Graves promptly drives right by her. Can't hit the bunny layup, though. Open look for Karsten. Instead, she drives and scores.
She's been able to do that a few times today. Find that opening, extend to the rim.
Matches her with Hines for the team lead in points, 14 each. Ryan takes a hard fall for the Phoenix. Hernandez-Gill in transition, splash.
She's a good shooter for this team. Not sure why she hasn't played much, probably just not in the rotation right now, but getting a big bucket there.
And Charlotte Smith needs a timeout as Hofstra has trimmed the 23 down to just 17, and it gets extended into a full. Hernandez-Gill off the bench, giving the Pride some life in the fourth quarter.
And to just have everybody here and seeing this building on such a big stage. Of course, they've won 2 of the last 3 tournaments, and Charlotte Smith talking coming into the year about how special it would be to do it on their home campus. A lot of basketball in front of them to be able to pull it off, but so far, so good in step 1.
Well, you're absolutely right, Matt. Elon needing to win 4 games in 4 days in order to win a 3rd CAA tournament in a 4-season span. But the Phoenix up by 19 here on Hofstra. James Madison potentially awaiting tomorrow at 5 o'clock p.m. Elon can take care of business here. Colin up over top of Johnson.
Back-to-back shots by bigs that looked great. Maya Johnson down at one end with some great footwork, and Colin matching.
Foul called against the Pride and Sandra Karsten. Second foul against the Pride this quarter. Kayla Lyles will return for Elon and inbound the ball here. Perpignan trapped near the midline, able to get it out of trouble. Nance sidestepping Hines, floater short. I think that can be attributed somewhat to the fact that Hines has got 4 personal fouls.
Absolutely, but what great footwork there by Nance.
Karsten looking inside for the aforementioned Hines. And another foul. The second half really has not had much flow to it.
Yeah, we talked about the choppiness of it and start, stop, especially when you're trying to make a comeback. I mean, you want the clock to stop if you're making a comeback, but with you on the free throw line, not to call fouls and turnovers.
Another foul. This will put Hofstra on the foul line. Marianne Collin will shoot the free throws.
Collins played well. She's had some good footwork down there. She's had some nice moves. She's gone to both sides.
First foul on Michaela Ryan, third on the Phoenix, puts Collin on the foul line. 8 points for the senior from Finland.
She also has 8 rebounds. She's done some work down low, trying to secure some possessions for her team.
She's matched with Hines for the team lead in rebounds, and Hines just grabbed her 9th, but then stepped on the end line.
You know, that's just kind of symbolic of the type of day it's been for Hofstra. You know, you make this great play, but you step on the line. You know, you save the ball, but underneath your own basket. You know, it's just things are happening for them that just aren't allowing them to get over that hump.
Not just the day, but the season as a whole.
Yeah.
0-18 in conference play. You talk to various coaches around the league that saw Hofstra late in the season. They know that this team has made strides as the year's gone along.
And you'll see Danielle Santos Atkinson, she'll recruit, she'll implement her system, and you'll see growth over the next few years. It's hard taking over a program, and especially a program that lost their best player.
Collins stepping around Perpignan. Hines an offensive board and a stick back. There's a double-double for Jalen Hines.
That was kind of a do-over from the last possession. Collin made the same play, and Hines grabbed it but stepped out of bounds. That time, Collin makes that play. Hines gets it up and in.
Traore returns for the Phoenix. Johnson has his seat. So Hines the double-double with 10 boards to go with her now 16 points. Elon ball out of the timeout, 22 to shoot. Cologne along 2.
Just love the way Cologne steps into her shot. She's got a really nice shot, good footwork, nice 1-2 step, real smooth.
Charlotte Smith has to like that now 4 of her players are in double figure scoring. Cologne and Powell tied for the team lead with 11 points apop. Traore and Munford 10 each.
Yeah, by committee, and you know, that's a true team. Anyone can step up on any given night. They share the basketball, and they knock down shots.
And there's still a very realistic chance that number could swell to 6. Perpignan's got 7, and Kayla Lyles has 8 points for the Phoenix.
And Lyles, we haven't heard much from her as of late, but she really set the tone with all those steals.
Here is Perpignan dribbling out of a double team, then throws the ball away.
I mean, Hofstra's increased their defensive intensity as well. I mean, they're forcing Elon into some turnovers, too. They're just not able to capitalize on offense.
And the Phoenix has now coughed it up 15 times on this game, 12 points off for Hofstra. Well, it's 23 in each department, 23 giveaways for the Pride, 23 points off for the Phoenix. Hines with 2 more.
She's been great today. She is doing everything that she can. 18 points, 10 rebounds, doing it all for Hofstra.
Under 4 minutes to go, though the Pride will need to start stringing together stops and scores if they want to cut into this dents. Ryan a corner 3. Bingo!
I love the body language. Ryan just kind of shoots the shot and kind of moseys on down. Not really a lot of emotion there. She's like, yeah, that's what I'm out here to do. I knock down shots.
Ho-hum, been here before, right? Left elbow jumper from Ineza. Cologne climbs the ladder for the Phoenix.
And Ineza hasn't really been able to get going here today. Thought she had some other open looks that she hesitated on or didn't take. But moving forward, this team's going to need her to score the ball a little bit more.
Just a freshman out of Quebec. 10 to shoot for Perpignan in the Phoenix. Plenty content to use shot clock here. Perpignan looking down low for Traore.
Elon's played some nice two-man basketball today. A lot of times when the shot clock's been running down, the big to little pick and roll, it's been working.
Phoenix right back up by 19, just like that. Talked about how in the first game, 11 was kind of the impenetrable barrier for College of Charleston. It's been 14 here for Hofstra as Hines reaches the 20-point threshold and the Pride calls time. Some of her lesser used players some minutes here in conference tournament action, as the Phoenix will have to rest up and get ready for a second meeting in 8 days on this floor with James Madison.
You know, you hear so much in the NBA about load management, and that's really the approach you have to have in some of these conference tournaments. You have to realize when you can sit your players, because if you're going to make a run, you're going to need fresh legs.
Graves all the way down. And that's such a delicate balance for coaches, because you need those fresh legs. You got to have them available for later games of the tournament potentially. But also, if you don't win, you're not guaranteed a next day. So you have to figure out how to get the job done while also keeping bodies fresh for that next potential.
Exactly, but you know, with the luxury of a 17-point lead for Charlotte Smith and maybe more, if these free throws are knocked down, you know, you almost want to do a line change. Get those players out. Don't risk any injury.
Three points for Jada Graves. Opportunity for number 4 here.
Boy, that clanked pretty hard off the rim. Like, you felt like you heard that pretty loudly. You just didn't get that final roll, but you thought you were going to get that home roll.
3 bounces off the iron on that missed shot. So it stays an 18-point game. Hernandez-Gill, another 3. That draws the iron as well, but touches the back of the backboard glass. Back to Elon.
Yeah, the rims are not kind as of late to the bouncing ball.
So Elon with a 5 on the floor of Ryan Graves, Nance, Tasman, and Cologne. 90 seconds to go. Cologne, 2 more.
And that's been all afternoon. The little to big passes, off the pick and roll, off the dives and slips. It's worked well for Elon. They've come out here today. They've taken care of business, trying to move on to that next round.
Kicked ball violation against the Phoenix stops play. Sean Mills will check back in for Hofstra along with Kariah Reynolds. Elon gets Traore back to the proceedings. Petya Krapenko returns for Hofstra. Colin and Karsten to the bench one last time. Always emotional to see those hugs from the coaches, the teammates. So much hard work this season, unfortunately for them, coming so far from Finland, unable to taste victory in conference action.
Anytime you go to these conference tournaments, you see the seniors on all but one team playing their last game. It's a lot of emotion and just the finality of it all, especially if there's no chance for postseason in the WNIT.
Missed jumper, bounces down to Graves for the Phoenix. 1 minute to play.
Charlotte Smith holding her hand up, telling Graves to take your time, run it down a little. Let's get a good shot. Charlotte Smith never stops coaching, that's for sure.
She'll have to get her team ready for James Madison tomorrow night at 5 o'clock. 3rd game of the day on quarterfinal Thursday. One more turnover there for Hofstra. A 24th giveaway. 2-second difference shot to game clock. So the Phoenix will win its 2nd straight game overall after Saturday's victory against Towson. A 14th win on the season for Charlotte Smith's team. And one last foul.
Now, this game ended up very similarly to the 2 matchups in the season. Elon with commanding wins, 17 and 13 points. Really just making a statement on defense early on. Thought Lyles really set the tone. She got out, got those steals. Didn't hear much from her in the second half, but they're going to need her tomorrow.
Trails with 8 points on the game to go with 5 boards. 5 steals as well. Tasman pulls in the rebound, and the Elon Phoenix win in the CAA tournament on their home floor. A 20-point victory for Charlotte Smith and her team over Hofstra. And 7th-seeded Elon advances on to take on the number 2 seed, James Madison, tomorrow. Hofstra's season comes to a close at 3-27. 0-18 in CAA play, but with Danielle Santos Atkinson at the helm, brighter days certainly ahead for the Hofstra Pride. Elon wins it in the Schar Center. They'll take